America feels like it's holding its breath in 2025, and no one can deny it anymore. Every week brings a new political shockwave, and every day the country seems to crack a little more along lines that were already fragile. Something has changed in the way people talk, the way they argue, the way they choose sides. The sense of calm that used to settle after major political storms doesn't return anymore. It's replaced by a constant hum of conflict, a feeling that something big is coming and nobody knows if the country is prepared for it. You can feel it in the crowds marching in the streets, in the courtrooms packed with cameras, in the Capitol surrounded by police barricades, and online where millions of people are arguing with more anger than ever before. This isn't normal tension. This is a nation drifting toward a level of division it hasn't seen in decades. At the center of this growing chaos is a political environment that never cools down. The United States has always had its battles, but now those battles feel permanent. Politicians speak like they're preparing for war rather than trying to govern. Every speech is a warning, every press conference turns into an attack, and every headline feels like it's designed to raise your heart rate. The country moves from one political wildfire to another without having time to recover from the last one. Decisions that once took months now erupt in minutes. People aren't just picking sides, they're defending those sides like their lives depend on it. And behind the noise, institutions that were supposed to stay neutral, courts, agencies, even local governments, are being dragged deeper into the fight. This is the new normal in America, and it's wearing people down. Protests, once rare and reserved for big turning points, are now happening almost every week in major cities. Crowds fill the streets for different causes, sometimes on the same day, shouting over each other while police try to keep opposing groups from colliding. People carry signs that don't just express frustration, but outright fear. Some fear the government is losing control. Others fear that political forces are trying to take over. The tension is visible on every face in those crowds. People aren't marching just to make a point. They're marching because they feel the country slipping, and protesting is the only way they know to push back. Even in clear daylight, with the sun shining and the Capitol standing in the background, the atmosphere feels like a warning. These aren't peaceful gatherings anymore. They are emotional pressure valves, barely holding in a growing sense of national anxiety. The political system itself is stretched thin. Court cases involving powerful figures dominate the news cycle. Investigations, appeals, emergency rulings, everything feels urgent and high stakes. The outcomes of these legal battles don't just affect individuals. They influence how millions of Americans view the fairness of the entire system. No matter what the courts decide, half the country ends up furious. That kind of reaction is becoming routine, and the courts were never built for this level of emotional demand. Yet here we are, watching judges, lawyers, and officials try to hold the line while the public reacts like every decision is a personal attack on democracy. Beyond the courts and protests, the country is split into information zones that barely overlap. People are not just watching different news. They are living in different realities. One group believes the nation is under attack from radical movements. Another believes authoritarian forces are rising. Each group sees itself as the hero in a story where the other side is the enemy. Social media amplifies this divide, making every political disagreement feel like a battlefield. There are no slow days online anymore. Every post turns into an argument. Every clip becomes evidence. Every comment sparks a fight. It feels as if the United States is running on emotional adrenaline, with no calm spaces left. Meanwhile, ordinary Americans are exhausted. People want stability, but they're surrounded by conflict that forces them to pick a side, even if they don't want to. Families avoid political conversations because they know one wrong sentence can ignite an argument. Friends stop talking to each other. Co-workers whisper their opinions, afraid of backlash. The political climate has become so intense that people feel pressured to either fight or stay silent. And silence, in a country this divided, feels dangerous. It feels like you're standing in the middle of a storm and hoping it doesn't notice you. America in 2025 is more than just politically divided. It's emotionally overwhelmed. The chaos isn't just happening in Washington or on the news. It's happening in everyday life, in small interactions, in the way people carry themselves, in the fear behind every conversation about the future. And this is why so many believe that the country is entering a year where anything can happen. A year where political chaos won't be a headline. It will be the backdrop of American life. Whether the country can stabilize or whether it slides even deeper into division depends on what happens next. But one thing is certain. The stability Americans once took for granted is gone, and the reality of 2025 is a nation trying to navigate the most turbulent political era in modern history.
What makes this moment even more unsettling is how unpredictable everything feels. The institutions that were once seen as anchors of stability, Congress, the Supreme Court, federal agencies, are now viewed with suspicion by millions of people. Every investigation is seen as political. Every ruling is seen as biased. Every new bill introduced in Congress sparks instant outrage before anyone has even read it. The distrust is so deep that people no longer believe the system is working for them. They see leaders fighting each other on camera, while the issues affecting their daily lives keep getting worse. It creates a psychological fog where nothing feels certain, and the people who are supposed to lead the nation seem too busy battling for control to actually provide solutions. This uncertainty feeds into the anger and worry already spreading across the country, giving the sense that the ground beneath the political landscape is shifting every single day. The media environment adds gasoline to the fire. News outlets, influencers, commentators, and social platforms all compete for attention by amplifying the most extreme emotions. The calm, measured voices are drowned out by the louder, angrier ones. People scroll through feeds filled with dramatic headlines, alarming charts, viral clips, and accusations from every direction. The speed at which information spreads makes it almost impossible for anyone to process what's real. A rumor can start in the morning and spark national panic by the afternoon. A small protest can turn into a headline claiming America is collapsing. Politicians respond to online pressure instead of focusing on long-term decisions. Every hour brings a new wave of outrage, and people are left trying to make sense of a country that feels like it's always moments away from the next flashpoint. It's not just the events themselves that are destabilizing America, it's the constant bombardment of reaction and speculation surrounding them. Across the country, states are starting to feel like they're on different timelines. Some are passing laws that directly contradict the laws of others. Governors are challenging federal agencies, and local leaders are taking matters into their own hands when they feel Washington is failing them. Policies change rapidly depending on which political party controls a region, creating an uneven patchwork of rules that confuses millions of Americans. A decision made in one state triggers protests in another. Governors call emergency press conferences. Legislatures argue late into the night. The nation was designed to be unified under a common framework, but that framework is starting to bend under the weight of too many competing agendas. People no longer feel like they live in the same country depending on which state line they cross, and that deepens the sense of fragmentation. Behind closed doors, experts warn that political pressure is beginning to affect national security. Intelligence agencies are dealing with rising cyber threats, misinformation campaigns, and foreign governments trying to exploit America's internal divisions. When the public is distracted by constant political fighting, hostile actors see opportunities. They slip into the chaos unnoticed, using the noise to cover their tracks. Some officials quietly admit that the internal turmoil is now as concerning as any external threat. A divided nation is easier to influence, easier to destabilize, easier to manipulate. The very disagreements Americans argue about every day are the weak points that foreign powers watch closely. This adds another layer of concern to an already volatile atmosphere. As the year unfolds, Americans are beginning to ask themselves what comes next. They wonder how much more the country can take before something breaks. They worry that the next major event, whether it's a court ruling, an election result, a political scandal, or a nationwide protest, could trigger a reaction unlike anything seen before. People sense that the country is at a tipping point, but no one can agree on what that tipping point will be. Some fear political violence, others fear the collapse of trust in the system. Others worry about the economy falling under the weight of all this instability. Everywhere you look, there's a different warning sign, and together they paint a picture of a nation walking through a minefield. But even in the middle of all this chaos, one truth stands out. Americans are not giving up. Beneath the anger, the noise, and the division, there is a quiet desire for clarity, stability, and leadership. People want someone to pull the country together, someone to lower the temperature, someone to remind them that even in the darkest times, the nation has always found a way forward. The question haunting everyone is whether that moment of unity is still possible in a world where every disagreement becomes a battle and every decision becomes a crisis. The answer isn't clear yet, but America is moving forward anyway, uncertain of where the path leads, but hoping that this period of turbulence will eventually give way to something better. Until then, the country remains on edge, waiting for the moment that finally defines what kind of nation America will be in 2025 and beyond. In the end, what America is facing is not just a political crisis, but an identity crisis. A battle over who the country is, what it stands for, and how it should move forward. Every argument, every protest, every courtroom decision, every headline is really part of a deeper question about the future of the nation. And as this pressure builds, people across the country can feel that history is being written in real time. The choices made this year will echo far beyond 2025, shaping how future generations remember this moment. Whether America rises from this chaos stronger or sinks further into division will depend on what happens next. And for now, all anyone can do is watch, prepare, and hope that the country finds its footing before the next major shock hits. Because if there's one thing everyone agrees on, it's that the calm Americans once trusted is gone, and the era ahead will test the nation like never before.